All righty, here we go. So thank you this morning for joining us this morning. We are a Rotary Club in formation, and we're going to have a unique focus on the Caribbean, unlike many Rotary clubs who focus on the locality in which they're operating. The Rotary E-Club of Raleigh International is an online-only club, and the founding members, who are David, myself, and Peter, are members of District 7710, which is located near Raleigh, North Carolina, includes 10 counties in central North Carolina. And as we mentioned earlier, Peter is actually in the Miami area, but has been a member of a Rotary Club in this Raleigh area district for the last couple of years. And we, as a new club, will be welcoming members from around the world to join us for fun, fellowship, and service. All right, machine work. There we go. Okay. As I mentioned before we got started, as a club, we want to focus on supporting our members, because that's one of the values of Rotary, is to get to know people. And we also want to conduct meaningful service and have fun while we're doing it. We encourage our members to participate in local Rotary clubs and to join them for hands-on service. So, for instance, we have a member from Africa. Obviously, he's not going to do service projects with us in North Carolina. The commute would be really pretty hard. So we're going to link him up with local clubs, and we'll do that for you as well. Since we're an E-Club, we'll probably not often have service projects in North Carolina, but we can link you up with a club that's close to your home, and I can help you with that. We will have 1 or 2 international projects every year, and we are going to start the focus will be the Caribbean, but we're going to start in Jamaica, and we're partnering with a very well-established club. They've been around for over 20 years. They're called the Rotary Club of Kingston East and Port Royal. We started, before we actually began this club, the 3 founding members, Peter, David, and I, participated in a project at Morant Bay High School, which is actually Peter's alma mater. It is in the poorest parish of the country. We renovated a nurse's station to help provide a more efficient and comfortable space for the medical support of the students and staff. And we couldn't have done it without the partnership of the Rotary Club of Kingston East and Port Royal. They provided oversight and actually implementation of the project, which required support of the trades and local experts. It also received the support of the Alumni Association and, of course, the school staff. This project for us was really a very heartwarming experience. And we enjoyed the process, not only of the work, but meeting the people there. And there's a few pictures. The picture on the left is of the nurses area before they got started. You can see a lot of mold on the wall. And I'm peeking around the corner where it's still in process. They took care of the mold in the ceilings, and they repainted the walls. And if you look on the right-hand side, that's a shower area with a hole in the wall getting the plumbing started. And then on the right-hand side there is the finished shower installation. So this project took a few months to be completed, but was definitely welcomed by the school. And because this was such a wonderful experience, we established a working with the Rotary Club of Kingston East and Port Royal. We are creating a sister club agreement where we will create joint projects in the future and support each other in various projects, and also to develop international friendships with these people, and to establish a cultural understanding, peace building, if you will, between Jamaicans and the other members of the club. And just recently logging in is Oforka, who is a brand new member of the club and joining us from Cameroon. Welcome, Oforka. Good to see you.
Thank you.
So, great. So our next project, we've already applied for a grant, will be with the Mair Gilby High School for the Deaf. And this is the only certified school for the deaf in Jamaica. We visited the school when we were there for our first project in May, and then David and Peter went back just a couple weeks ago, as they mentioned. And so during these visits, we were absolutely moved by the dedication of the staff. to support these kids. And these kids, being deaf, are marginalized in this society, which is not really surprising. And so the school is just so dedicated to helping these kids. All the staff, no matter their role, are fluent in Jamaican Sign Language and clearly care about the kids, not the least of which was the lady that helped keep the school clean. She was just everybody's grandma, I think. She just really loved these children. The needs of this school are very long, and they've prioritized their needs. And we look forward to fulfilling their first priority this year, which is computers and projectors for classrooms and the Learning Center. And this will allow them to become bilingual. These kids their first language is Jamaican Sign Language. So English is their second language. And so this computer program that is customized for them will help teach them English through the use of Jamaican Sign Language. And this will then hopefully help the kids have meaningful careers. And the computers will also help them with computer coding and online learning, as well as preparation for other life skills. So this is our first priority. And there are a number of other priorities from small to very large. And the next one in their priority list is a counseling hub. This hub will be to provide one-on-one counseling for the kids. You can imagine they have many psychosocial needs. And so if they could have a comfortable space to provide counseling, that would be helpful for them. And that is our goal, to do that. And then there are many other priorities, as I've mentioned. So we expect, honestly, to be able to work with this school for meaningful projects for the next perhaps 5 years or so. Along with doing good at the school, we want to learn about the culture in Jamaica and have fun. And so when we were there in May, we went on a cultural tour of downtown Kingston, where there's a what's called a Kingston Creative Nonprofit. They have renovated the downtown area and have blocks and blocks of these wall murals. And not only was it interesting to see the depiction of Jamaican culture, which was interesting and illuminating for those of us that are not immersed in it, is that when you go along this walk, there are various murals that have QR codes. And if you click on it with your phone, the images on the wall actually are animated. It was fascinating to see the creativity of taking a two-dimensional art form and making it move. It was amazing. So these sorts of activities will help us develop close connections with each other, as well as understanding more about the culture. So when we do these international service trips, we will intentionally include hands-on service. And that, for instance, for this upcoming project with computers, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, because what do you do? Well, we might be able to help set up the computers. And we're also asking the local Rotary Club and the school, what else could we do that would involve the Rotarians with hands-on service while we are there? So we don't precisely know what we will do next time for hands-on service, but we are intentionally going to include those sorts of activities. We will also have activities with our sister club, the Rotary Club of Kingston East and Port Royal. And again, as I just mentioned, the cultural experiences, so we understand more about the country. With international travel, some of us do it often, others of us less so. We will make sure you're comfortable with it. We will have a travel team within the club that will organize the travel, including air, hotel, and local transportation, and the activities on the ground. We'll also do an orientation so people know what to expect and you'll feel comfortable going there. The optional tourist activities will be offered either before or after the trip. We'll probably say, hey, if you want to extend your vacation, here are some things that you can do. Family and friends, of course, are welcome to attend. And all of this travel is at the members' own expense. We also want to have fun and celebration. And while we were in Jamaica in May, we were delighted by a local Rotarian who, well, first of all, we were doing hands-on work at the school, and we were shoveling very heavy concrete. And we were occasionally taking a break because it was Jamaica and hot. and humid, and we were not used to having to lift all this heavy concrete. So in any case, I was sitting on a picnic bench underneath a tree, and I was next to Yvonne, and Yvonne said, "Oh, see that tree over there? That's the Aki tree." And so we went over and we looked at this tree, and it was a fruit tree. It had this fruit I'd never seen before, and I guess it's got a big center seed. She says, "Well, have you ever had Aki and saltfish?" And I said, "No." And that's the Jamaican national dish. So she said, "Well, we'll take care of you." And so she went home and she prepared this dish and brought it back to us the next day and let us taste it. And it was just, I mean, it was remarkable her to take that effort, and it was good. I enjoyed it. So it was a good dish, but the hospitality and the welcoming was what was just amazing. And then we had a get together one evening. It was I've lost my language. It was a evening get together, whatever, a soiree.
Cocktail party.
Cocktail party, that's it. And we had food and drinks and great fun. And during that event, we honored Peter. Peter was serving as president of our previous club, and we honored him with the Paul Harris Fellow recognition, which is a high recognition within Rotary for Peter's commitment to service above self. And we had great fun during that. We definitely had good times with our sister club that evening. And so, what about safety and security? There are portions of Jamaica that are dangerous, and if you go to the State Department website, they will point that out to you. But then again, there are portions of the U.S. and then, frankly, other countries that are dangerous. So we will mitigate this risk by staying in major hotels in safe sections of the city. We'll always travel in groups, and we'll have prearranged local transportation, both for your transfer from the airport to the hotel, as well as when we do other things in country. And we'll always be traveling with people that know the territory, either Peter, who, that is his home country, or with other locals from the Rotary Club. So we'll never be going it alone, if you will. So how do we fund our projects? Well, that's actually a big deal for us. This first project with the computers is about a $20,000 to $22,000 project. We've already applied for a district grant, which we have preliminary agreement that will be funded. We are also actively now soliciting corporate sponsorships, so we're hoping that members will facilitate that. We'll encourage you to your capacity to also donate to our projects. And we have various levels of corporate sponsorships, which I won't bore you with now, but to say that raising money is going to be critical to the success of our projects, because we are a brand new club. We're not even official yet. So we basically have no money. So we're working to raise more. Now, David will be upset that I said basically we have no money, because we have identified $11,000 for this $22,000 project, but we still have $10,000, $11,000 more to raise. So we still have to find some money someplace. When you join us, you join a network of Rotarians around the world. There's now 1.4 million Rotarians. They're global volunteers. We're in over 200 countries, and there's 46,000 clubs worldwide. And when you become a Rotarian, you're welcome to attend any Rotary meeting anywhere in the world. So one of the things on my to-do list is David and I are going to Croatia in a few weeks, and I'm going to see if perhaps there's a club there that we can pop into. So anyway, I encourage you to do that, because Rotary clubs are all distinct. Every club, just like every family, has their own personality, and it's variable within the United States, but it's even more variable within countries. Rotary's experience can be quite different if you're in Canada or Europe or Australia or Africa. And David and I have had the pleasure of having those sorts of meetings in other countries, and it's always eye-opening and heartwarming to see people around the world that care about service. When you join us, you're going to have an opportunity to make a real difference in the lives of people, predominantly in the Caribbean, but also in your hometown. And you are welcomed in any Rotary Club if you should show up. And I encourage you, as I said, to check us out in our various different flavors around the world. We are also affiliated with the Rotary Foundation, which is a separate corporation from Rotary International. And it's the highest rating, or it receives the highest rating from Charity Navigator, which is 4 stars. We have received that rating for 14 consecutive years. So it's a very well-run foundation. We ask Rotarians to give generously to the foundation according to your ability. We do include a very nominal donation in your club dues. And the donations to the foundation are invested for 3 years, which covers most of the overhead expenses of the foundation. And then it's returned to be used for projects around the world. And we get our donations back in 3 years. It's usually around $100,000 each year that comes back to the district to be used by club projects. So the foundation is really important to us. And indeed, this club has applied for a foundation grant. And as I said, it's just about ready to be approved. I serve the district as the foundation chair for the district. And we have submitted our grant proposal, and I expect that it will be approved by RI in the next week or so. So what can you expect of us? We are going to have interesting meetings in a variety of formats. You'll have opportunities to connect and to network and experience different cultures. And again, we're going to have hands-on service project at least every year, and we'll do some fun social events, both in person as well as through Zoom. When are we going to meet? Our next meeting is at the end of August, so basically in a month. And that meeting will be a service project update. Peter and David will give you the latest scoop about the computer project and what are the next steps. And then beginning September 9th, we'll begin meeting weekly. We would have begun the first week in September, but it's Labor Day weekend in the US. So we're going to skip that weekend and begin meeting on September 9th. And we'll meet on Saturdays from 9 to 10 Eastern time, whether it be standard or daylight. So those of you that are coming from countries that don't pay attention to daylight savings, you'll need to know what in the world the US East Coast is doing for time. And it will be meeting on Zoom. Occasionally, though, we'll be preempting our meetings so that we can participate in district events. In the middle of September, there's a district training assembly. They have 3 of them a year. So for those that are local to the Triangle, we'll encourage you to attend that in-person meeting. It will not have hybrid attendance. So those of you that are not local will have a weekend off. But those of us that live in the Triangle of North Carolina will be encouraged to attend the district training assembly. And what will the meetings be like? We'll have about the first 15 minutes for gathering time and socialization, because again, we want to get to know each other. And then we'll follow that typically with a speaker or another activity. And then at the end of the 30 minutes or so, we'll have club business and any other announcements. And what does it cost for active members? It's $150 a quarter, and a very large portion of that, $100 of it, goes to support our service projects. And then we have other levels of membership that basically the change is the reduction in the quarterly donation to our projects. We do have an odd membership category. It's called Rotarian Affiliate. Chalisa Williams is one of those. Chalisa is a Rotarian in another club. As a matter of fact, she's serving as president this year. She likes our concept so much. She said, not only am I going to join my own club, I'm going to join this one because they're doing good stuff. So you cannot legally with Rotary become a member of 2 clubs. So we kind of bend the rules a little bit and say, well, we're not going to charge you Rotary dues, but we will gladly accept your donation to our service project. So and your personal involvement in our club. So we accept Rotarian affiliates to as members, basically to support the club growth and our ability to conduct good projects. So what do we expect of our members? We would like every member to be active in a club, both by attending club meetings as well as participating in committees and projects. And the rules, if you will, is we ask that every member attend at least 1 meeting or other activity each month, and then either attend or make up 50% of the meetings each year. And as you go through orientation, we'll explain what that means. But basically, a makeup meeting is let's say you're in Croatia, which is where David and I are going to go. Well, we can't attend a local club meeting here, perhaps while we're on the road, but we could attend a meeting in Croatia. So that would be considered a makeup meeting. You could also, if you missed this meeting, listen to the recording on YouTube. That too would be considered a makeup meeting. So we want you to attend or, to participate in the club, preferably here in person, but if not, to do some makeups. Because we're a brand new club, in order for us to be chartered, we need to have at least 20 active members. So this doesn't include Rotarian affiliates, but it does include all active members. We would like to reach that 20 number by the end of this calendar year, preferably before. So we ask all of our members to help us grow the club. You undoubtedly know people that we don't know. We invite you to invite them to our club. We also know that our members have a variety of expertises. So we ask you to share your skills and to pay your dues on time and to sign our pledge, which goes into these expectations in a little bit more detail. So now is the time we've all been waiting for. So Aforka, I'm so glad that you and Arnold and Maureen's here too, and so is Viv. Okay, almost everybody is here that's going to be a new member. So I'm delighted. So these four people, Aforka, Arnold, and Maureen, and Viv, are brand new people to Rotary. So we welcome you. I'm going to have a little formal induction in a moment, but we welcome you. And also share with you that 3 other people that are currently Rotarians in our district have decided to join as affiliate members. And I know that some of them are traveling for work. And Shalisa said she is at the salon and will not share her picture today, but we welcome you with your hidden self, Shalisa. And again, especially that you're serving as president this year, but Shalisa is very well connected in the Caribbean and is excited about what our club is offering. So without further ado, let us do this official installation. It's my pleasure to induct new members, Aforka Anselm from Cameroon, and Arnold Busketh, Maureen Cunningham, and Viv Shaw from North Carolina. And we also welcome our affiliate Rotarian members, Suzanne Botts, Elizabeth Weiner, and Shalisa Williams, into the Rotary E-Club of Raleigh International, which is a satellite club of the Rotary Club of Oxford. As a member of Rotary, you're part of a worldwide organization of more than 1.4 million community, business, and professional leaders. Rotarians are people of action, leaders that join together in fellowship to provide humanitarian service, to promote high ethical standards, and to encourage peace and understanding. I encourage you to become actively involved in the club and to learn as much as you can about Rotary. You will be inspired. One of the many privileges of membership is enjoying the fellowship of like-minded adults in a warm and friendly atmosphere, not only in this club, but in any of the more than 46,000 Rotary clubs around the world. And with many clubs meeting online or with hybrid options, you can visit clubs almost anywhere. We welcome you as a member of the Rotary E-Club of Raleigh International because we believe you will enthusiastically participate in our club and the greater Rotary organization, exemplifying our motto, service above self. And we ask you, hopefully you've all received your pin in the mail, but we ask you to wear your Rotary pin with pride. And I meant to give Peter a heads up, but in just a moment, Peter, I'm going to ask you to share your airport story. So remember it quickly. Okay. Now, I would like you to please welcome our newest active members, Aforka, Arnold, Maureen, and Viv, and our Rotarian affiliates, Suzanne, Elizabeth, and Shalisa. Would you please welcome them with virtual applause and a welcome message in the chat box. Thank you and congratulations. We're so happy to have you with us. Okay, so Peter has a lovely story about his time in the airport. Would you like to share that with us?
Yes, absolutely. And remember too, Marie, that there was another story too with a Canadian that we met at the hotel. But
yep, you can share them both. We've got enough time.
All right, yeah. So on the first day when we were leaving Kingston to head to the project in St. Thomas in Morant Bay, we were outside by the bus that took us, waiting for some others to show up. There was a guy who was walking past, and we noticed that he was, looking across as he went along. And then he came across and he said, "Oh, you're Rotarians." I said, yeah, because some of us had our pins on, some had shirts on with Rotary. And he said that he was actually a Rotarian from Canada. I think he was from Vancouver, was it? Yeah. So, we started talking and, took pictures and exchanged information and so on. So what that meant to me was the Rotary pin, the Rotary name is very, very powerful, and it actually makes connections, among people across the world, right? Rotarians tend to gravitate together, and this really did help it. So my airport story now, in the same vein, and I should mention that I travel a lot, and I usually go without my pin for some strange reason, right? But this time, my first real project, I wore it. So we were at the airport in Kingston, flight was delayed. We all went to sit across, by a set of seats. And there's a guy who came and sat beside me. And he looked at my pin and said, "Oh yeah, you're a Rotarian." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm a Rotarian as well." It turned out that he was the president-elect of a club in South Central Jamaica, and he was becoming the president for this year, and he was heading off to the Bahamas for his PEPS training, yeah? So it hit me then that, wow, again, this pin is really, really powerful, because we got to talking, got invited to make a presentation at his meeting, exchanged information, chatted a bit about Rotary and what it meant and so on. So for me, that kind of connection was really good. Why? Because not only did I learn a bit more about how other people perceive Rotary, but also what we share beyond just the service, right? So Rotary for me, especially having done that project in Jamaica, means having fun. We had so much fun. We didn't even realize how heavy the load was, Marie, that we're pushing around, right? Laughter, fun, camaraderie, and so on. So this to me is what Rotary represents: doing service above self, but also doing it with fun and then connecting with people from all over the world, right? Really critical for me. So that's my mouthful.
Thank you, Peter. And let me just say that I never, ever would win a spelling bee. Peter has pointed out that I've misspelled on official documents Cameroon, and I've misspelled Vib's last name with a W rather than an H. So it's Vib Shah with S-H-A-H. Sorry about that, Vib. I will strive to do better. Thank you. I am going to share my screen again to share with you how you're going to be, how you're going to learn about Rotary, because there's so much to. Yes, please.
Cameroon is of two expressions. The one with U is in the French version, and the one with double O is in the English version. So I prefer double O.
Okay.
Because I'm from the English expression.
Will do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So all of you new Rotarians, you have no idea what you've just jumped in, and we're going to help you figure it out, because there is so much to learn about Rotary. It's such an amazing organization. And so we're going to help orient you. And I would like you to choose your guide. So David, Peter, and myself know the most about this club and our expression of Rotary here. So I ask each of you to choose one of us to be your guide. And please do that in chat. So just send one of us a message saying, "I want to work with you." And we're going to help you complete the scavenger hunt. If you scan this QR code, you will get there. I think I can pull it up here, maybe not. All right. In any case, it's a stepwise process that will help orient you to some of the aspects of the administration of the of Rotary, like how do you find information, and basically help onboard you. It wouldn't take probably more than a couple of weeks to complete this. And we ask that you do it in the first 6 months. But if you want to do it in one day, go for it. But we'll be happy to guide you through the process. We also ask you to participate in a committee. And right now, these are pretty much in our order of need. We need someone to provide service project coordination and management. We certainly need to grow membership. We're asking everyone to take on that responsibility, but we could use an official chair for the membership committee. And again, we want to grow to a minimum of 20 members by the end of the year, but preferably more, closer to 25 or even 30. We need to identify a travel team. Our next project in Jamaica will likely be early next year. We'll have a better handle on that in the coming week when we're going to be meeting with our sister club. We also need a public image team and a club service team, which that club service means club administration, if you will. It would involve helping to find speakers for our programs and that sort of thing. And then the international service will evolve over time. We already know our next project, but we will need to also develop connections internationally. And Sam is a past Peace Corps volunteer. He undoubtedly knows people around the world that can help develop these connections and help us become a more vibrant club. I just read the Rotarian magazine. Once you're a member and signed up to Rotary, you are subscribed to the Rotarian magazine. I don't tell anybody this, but I don't read it every month. But I read part of one of the articles this month, and there was a club in Singapore that had about 200 members, 190 members or so, and they did international service, much like we're planning on doing. And they actually had members from around the world, just like we hope to have. And they became a very active, vibrant, and effective club. And so these international connections are important to us. So how do people become members? Well, y'all know, but basically you fill out the application, the board reviews it, and we formally approve you. We decide within 30 days, usually it's within a day or so, and you'll be invited to be formally inducted and then have your orientation. Please note these meetings, you will receive emails to this effect. In August, our next meeting will be the project update that I've mentioned before. We don't have a meeting the first week in September because of the holiday, and then you can see the rest of September schedule. Again, the September 16th is an in-person only meeting. I encourage all the new Rotarians that are going to be available to register for that, and we can help you do that. We do that in our database called DACDB. And then September 23rd, we will be honored by a visit by our district governor. There's a district governor serves a district. In our case, it's 47 clubs in Central North Carolina. Governor Veronica Bent will be joining us on the 23rd. And then we'll have an informational meeting for potential members at the end of September. And our board meetings are typically scheduled at the end of September or at the end of every month. Members are welcome to attend board meetings. They are open meetings, but voting members are just the members of the board. Okay, so how can you help us? We really need two things right now. We need to grow and we need money to do good. And as I mentioned, we need to raise around $11,000. So please help us identify people who are willing to be sponsors and corporate sponsors. And then we need to grow our membership. So please invite your friends and family to learn about the club. You can share the YouTube recording of today's meeting, which will be loaded within the next 24 hours. I will send you an email when it's up. And Sam, I do not have your email, and Stephen, I don't believe I have. I might have yours, Stephen, but if you wouldn't mind putting in chat your email so I can include you on the distribution list, that would be great. If you have a potential member, what I need from you, or this is also a potential sponsor. Let me just say, I understand it is very difficult for many people to ask for money. So if you are one of those people that find it uncomfortable, but you know someone or some organization that might be willing to be a sponsor, please let us know. I'm serving as secretary, so if you send me the name of the person, their email and their mobile, and if it's a corporate sponsor, also the person's title and the company, if you send it to me at this address, I will put them on our distribution list. And if you tell me that it's a sponsor, I'll segregate them into a sponsors list as opposed to a potential new member list. So let me know who we should be adding to our distribution list to receive our newsletters and mailings. And then, of course, for the potential donors, we will either ask you to reach out to them to solicit the donation, or you can say, hey, I'm not comfortable doing it. Would one of you do it? And one of the directors will reach out to the organization. But again, that's top priority, is to grow our membership as well as to have a little bit more money. So just as a reminder, the club is all about fun, fellowship, and service. And the other language on the screen is Rotary's vision statement. And I think it aptly captures what we're all about as this club. So I think that may be my last slide. So any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I do have a suggestion. If anyone in the club is thinking about making a donation to the club, does your employer have a matching funds program where they will match your donation? That could be helpful.
And right now, just so you know, for those that are in US based, we are not currently a not-for-profit organization. We're also just not even official. So let me talk about legally where we are. So in order to be an official satellite club, we have to have 8 members. Right now we have 7, and we expect that perhaps we'll have 8 in the next week. So once we have those 8 members, we will be able to submit the application to RI. This is a rather informal recognition. We still remain under the official control of the chartered satellite club. Our parent club is the Rotary Club of Oxford, North Carolina. So, but Rotary does recognize that we are in a growth phase, and we expect to charter. So this is a step. Then the next bigger step is to become a fully chartered Rotary Club. That's when we have 20 members. We will be able to submit for that. It is not a difficult process. So I expect that once we have those 20 members, it will be pretty automatic. And again, we hope to be completed with that at the end of this calendar year. Once that happens, we are a legal entity, and we will submit our information to the state of North Carolina to become a nonprofit, and we will also submit paperwork to the IRS to be a nonprofit. But this type of nonprofit does not allow donors to have tax-free or tax-exempt donations. That requires a 501c3, which we don't have yet, but we are working with a church to perhaps help us with that. We'll see how that plays out. And then we are also in the process of creating a nonprofit 501c3. David is working actively on that right now. We are going to start that corporation before we are even an official Rotary Club. So it'll be a standalone corporation, and we will apply for 501c3 status with the IRS. That whole process will likely take 4 to 9 months, somewhere in that range. A lot depends on how backed up the IRS is. So we will see. But we are on top of that. We know that we need to have a way to accept tax deductible contributions. Other questions?
I got one more suggestion. Since we do have membership already spread around the world, perhaps we should advertise our meeting time in Universal Time in place of or in addition to Eastern Standard Time.
And you're going to get to help me figure that out, because I can't figure out the daylight thing with that.
just Google it. You'll find hundreds of responses telling you what Universal Time is.
Yeah.
Or just ask the computer, what time is it now in Peking or Beijing, for example. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Will do. That's an easy adjustment. Any other thoughts or?
I just had one more thought, just as a sort of FYI, as you get to know the world of Rotary, talking about fundraising. Eventually we would like to get to really big grants, which in the Rotary world are called global grants. It's a matching grant. So if you want a $30,000 grant, you have to raise $15,000, for example. But I know of a project that took place in Burkina Faso in Western Africa, sponsored by the Rotary Club of Durham here in North Carolina. And somebody had a crazy idea. They said, why don't we write to the Rotary Club of Durham in England, because we're both the same name, and see if they would like to join the project with us. And they did. And they began to do that with other clubs around the world. And this became what is called a multi-district grant, where there were clubs from districts all over the world came together. And this ended up being a very large project. So that's kind of where the networking part can really help in practical ways. So it's not just networking the individuals, but it's networking as clubs and districts.
And let me expand on that. You all are well aware, I'm sure, of the earthquake in Syria and Turkey earlier this year. There was a grant that was started by a district in North Carolina to the west of us near Charlotte. The district governor there started it. I'm not sure what the impetus was, but in any case, she put together a grant that will provide 2 converted tractor trailers that will provide school and medical facilities for the areas impacted by the earthquake. And since it's a mobile facility, they'll be able to go to different areas. That grant, if I recall correctly, was about $250,000, involved many dozens of clubs and probably a dozen different districts around the world. Probably on almost every continent. So those of you that have international connections, those really can help us as we grow and want to develop more complicated and comprehensive projects. Of course, when you're getting that much money, the oversight is pretty rigorous, but it is not impossible. And we can, of course, work with the experts within Rotary to help us craft effective grants.
This club, I think, this potential club, this club has got 2 advantages I think you often don't see. Number one, we have Peter, who was born and raised in Jamaica, and spent most of his career outside of Jamaica, but is still extremely well connected inside Jamaica. And so that helps with local culture, local connections. He's already made a couple of connections that I wouldn't even know how to start finding. The second secret sauce we have, if you like, is Marie. Marie is a past district governor, which means she was district governor in this area in North Carolina in 2019, 2020. She has met all 539 other district governors for that year, and they still maintain their network. And so whatever it is we need in terms of a connection, we can probably find that connection through Marie. A silly little example, when we were talking about partnering with the Rotary Club of Kingston East and Port Royal, we wanted to know more about that club. And so she contacted the person who was the district governor for the district in which Jamaica resides and asked to check out the club. And we got feedback, which was extremely positive, but it allowed us to do some due diligence work ahead of time before we even had a discussion with the club about partnering with them. So I think those 2 resources in this club should hopefully be very useful as we set up in this journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And might I just add, David, one of the things that excites me about this club is exactly what you just mentioned. I mean, apart from the connections, which I have in Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean, how we have started this in terms of the preparation, the planning, all the meetings, the guidelines, and so on, through Marie, that has been really helpful for me in Rotary. And then also having traveled to Jamaica to be on my very first hands-on project, it taught me a whole lot. So I say this to say that, with our membership, growing with members from all over the world, I'm sure that this club will provide you with a perfect opportunity, again, to be able to provide service and then also to learn so much more about different areas of the world, learn about Jamaica, learn about the Caribbean. But I also want to say that because we're scattered internationally, this club will also provide a channel or a conduit, or, you know, to get you more involved, not just with our club, but also possibly locally, right? Because there might be local Rotary clubs there that you can associate with. You know, you can participate in meetings. They might have projects going on that you can participate in. So the beauty about this thing overall too is we're a new club. We know what the guidelines are pretty much, but we will be welcoming ideas, suggestions, discussions, thoughts about how we can do things new, differently, more effectively. It's going to be really participatory, not only in terms of the service itself, but actually putting information, meet planning, new ideas behind how we operate. And this really is something which I'm looking forward to, having all these connections internationally. I have been traveling all along for my jobs. I've lived internationally, and that is a big part of my being, what makes me feel good, connecting internationally and service. So you can't have it any better, at least for me, it can't be any better than providing service through connections internationally. You know, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and I'll just follow up that you know, I've been a Rotarian for a long time. My gray hair matches my longevity in Rotary. But, you know, I've participated in hands-on international service work in India, Zambia, Jamaica, Guyana. I've supported additional projects in Uganda, the Dominican Republic, and Guatemala. And it feels good to me to be able to take that international experience and that desire to do good and now focus it where we can have impact. Impact is my new favorite word. I don't want to just do a service project. I want to do a service project with impact. And so I'm looking forward to this.
And just because we've got some time, I'll just mention that every year there are two meetings that you might want to consider. One is every year the district has what's called a district conference that will be normally held someplace in North Carolina. Often it's not in our district. This one coming up in this coming May next year will be in New Bern, which is along the coast of North Carolina, near the water. So that will be happening over a 3-day weekend in May. But also every year, for those of you that like international travel, there's an international Rotary International Convention. And next year it's going to be in Singapore. It moves continents every year, so it will not be in the same region every year. So if you've ever wanted to go to Singapore, it'll be next May, probably. We can look it up. They've already begun travel. And those are just remarkable opportunities to travel the world and to see the bigger picture of Rotary. They have what's called a House of Friendship, which is basically a vendor space, but the vendors can be people that sell to Rotary, but it's also other Rotary clubs that share their inspiration, their projects, their ideas. And then, of course, there are typical conference meetings and big plenary meetings with, 10,000 people, well, maybe 5,000 people. It's usually the whole convention is usually around 20,000 people. Was that reasonable, David? I know it's variable.
Yeah, the low end is 20,000. They've been as big as almost 50,000.
And so they have plenary sessions. Usually there'll be 2 opening ceremonies because they can't fit everybody in the same hall. And during these opening ceremonies, they have top end speakers and musical talent and other things like that. And I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about it. I mean, it's an amazing experience to see the huge picture or the huge impact of Rotary and how different it can be around the world, and to get ideas and to just, rub elbows with people that also have a heart for service. So obviously, an international convention is not something all of us can afford to do, but if you can, and if you're interested, we will help to link you up with that opportunity.
I think one of the most amusing things ever I saw and heard at an international convention was in Sydney in Australia in 2014, where a little, relatively short Asian gentleman came to the front of this huge stage and stood on the edge, and he introduced himself and he said, I've forgotten his name now, but I'm Joe Smith, and I'm here this morning to talk to you about shit. And he said, I know I'm not supposed to say that, but I'm in Australia after all. And he told this amazing story I don't know if you heard about the bottom of the pyramid concept. There's a pyramid of about 8 million people in the world, and the bottom 2 to 3 billion are very underprivileged. And this guy had started a program of providing toilet facilities to those abject poor. But he went further than that. He built a factory to manufacture the toilets, and he employed the locals. And so the locals will now begin to earn money, and they could put that money back into the community. Then he hired other locals to do marketing and sales, and this grew into a tremendous venture. And he was providing all this benefit to these people who otherwise are struggling to live. So it was really interesting. So shit has a place in the world.
All right. Well, I think there's no reason for us to continue. We can adjourn 5 minutes early unless there are other questions. So for those of you that are brand new members, if you haven't already, please text David, Peter, or me and ask for us to guide you through the orientation process. Sam and Allie and Elvin, please reach out and Stephen, please reach out if there's anything we can answer for you after the fact. And look forward to inviting you perhaps to be members. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a great Saturday.
Thanks.
Yeah, we all do the same. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.